What's up, Squirtle Squad? It's good to see you. Along with Charmander and Bulbasaur, Squirtle was one of the original starters in the first Pokémon games. This was the difficult choice players had to face that would have a drastic impact on the challenge of their journey through Kanto. In today's video, we'll talk about Minogame, the Japanese folklore that inspired the Squirtle family, and take a look at the anatomical functions of Blastoise's signature cannons. So stay tuned because this is going to be an exciting one. I know a lot of you guys love Squirtle, and what's not to like about it? It's very cute and adorable. Even Ash originally chose Squirtle.
I'm gonna choose Squirtle!
It's hard to imagine Ash being accompanied with anyone other than Pikachu. But due to breaking his alarm clock the night prior to the ceremony, Ash leapt in and lost Squirtle to Gary. There are multiple characters in the Pokemon anime with a Squirtle on their team, most notably May and Tierno, and quite a few other trainers and gym leaders as well. It also appeared frequently in the early seasons of the Pokemon cartoon series. However, how much do Squirtle fans actually know? So here are some of the facts about Squirtles that you might not know. The Japanese name for the Pokemon has a cultural significance which isn't present in its English translation. While the English name for Squirtle is a portmanteau of squirt and turtle, promoting its aquatic nature and water powers, the Japanese name for Squirtle is Zenigame. Zeni means money and game means turtle. In Japan, tiny pond turtle shells are believed to parallel coins. Thus, Squirtle's Japanese name reflects the fact that its shell could be confused for money. Speaking of currency, Squirtle is featured on $1 coins on the island of Niue, and are actually considered legal tender. Though there don't appear to be any blue turtles in nature, Squirtle is unmistakably based on an aquatic turtle. Red-eared sliders, painted turtles, spiny softshell turtles, and common snapping turtles are just a few of the aquatic turtle species that can be found in your metro parks. These turtles can live on land, but they prefer to stay near water. They only stray from it to look for places to lay their eggs. Since they are ectothermic, cold-blooded, they get the majority of their energy from the sun's heat, which makes them less active in the winter. Turtles will swim to the bottom of a pond or river when the weather turns colder in the fall, where they will spend the winter under the ice. Even when ice is on the surface, you can sometimes see them swimming around. Their need for oxygen is significantly reduced and their energy consumption is slowed by the cold water. They can survive under the ice in a number of ways, but once the water warms up, they must have access to the surface in order to avoid drowning. Although it usually moves on its two short legs, in Super Smash Bros. Brawl it was seen moving on all fours, as evidenced by Squirtle's inclusion as a playable character in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It's difficult to deny both its endearing charm and its prowess as a fighter. It has broad, reddish or purple eyes, and its upper lip is slightly hooked. Its hands and feet each have 3 protruding digits. Its long tail's tip curls inward. After birth, a tough shell that protects its body forms and hardens. This shell has a thick white ridge separating the two halves and is brown on top and pale yellow on the bottom. Did you know, just like turtles, the shell of a Squirtle is a helpful tool for safety or to sleep? Yes, because it can retreat inside the shell very easily. The rounded, grooved shape aids in lowering water resistance, enabling the Pokemon to swim quickly. Also, the Squirtle has a highly accurate foamy water spray from its mouth. Although it is rare in the wild, Squirtles can be found near lakes and small ponds. It can be seen in the anime coexisting on isolated islands with other descendants of its evolutionary line. An interesting fact about Squirtle is that it has undergone a wide range of different color palettes used for its official coloring. Squirtle's original appearance in the franchise's early years was a light blue shade. Squirtle was changed to a much darker shade of blue for the game's sequels, Pokemon Gold and Silver, probably in response to the Game Boy Color's constrained color options. Squirtle changed once more when the Game Boy Advance gained the access to more colors, this time going from green to teal. Squirtle continues to have a much wider range of colors than any other Pokemon in different games, depending on the art style. Squirtle's shell is soft while it's small. If you poke it, Squirtle will immediately retreat back into its shell. These Pokemon are very shy and timid. Its super shiny is based on a rare white sea turtle found on the South Carolina beach in 2020. The hatchling had a genetic mutation called leucism, which causes an animal to have reduced pigmentation, thus the desaturated skin. Next from this family is the Wartortle. It's a semi-aquatic turtle that has a deeper blue hue than Squirtle. The Wartortle is reversed as a representation of enduring power. The oldest Wartortles have algae on their shells and are thought to have a lifespan of up to 10,000 years. Since it swims quickly and hides in the water to hunt its prey, it relies on the support of its large, furry ears, strong legs, and long tail to level itself and maintain its balance. Although his tail is visible, he can use it to defend himself from attackers when they strike his head. The scratches on his shell are evidence of the battles he has endured and the skill as a warrior. It shares similarities with Squirtle in that both freshwater and saltwater aquifers are nearby, and both are known for launching pressurized water jets. This amazing pond turtle-inspired Pokémon has 2 pointed teeth sticking out of its upper jaw, 2 brown eyes, and a dark blue streak down each cheek. It has pointed toes and 3 clawed fingers. Its head has feather-like ears with light blue fur on each side. Its body is covered in a brown shell with a light yellow underside. The upper and lower halves of the shell are divided by a substantial white rim. And you'll notice the details on the shells of older turtles. There might be scars and algae growth. A thick, wavy tail that is also covered in light blue fur and can be partially retracted into the shell protrudes from the bottom of the shell. This Pokemon is well liked by older people because of its tail, which is a common symbol of longevity and good fortune. Wartortle have a harder time walking on land and maintaining their balance in the water because they're bigger than Squirtle and have a larger shell. Wartortle uses its furry ears and tail as both rudders and balancing rods to maintain balance while swimming at high speeds. Its fur can store air for prolonged underwater diving. When hunting, it stays submerged, but comes out to catch its prey off guard. Wartortle can be found living in colonies on islands, as depicted in the anime, but its preferred habitat appears to be freshwater ponds and lakes, just like pond turtles. Algae grows on Wartortle as it matures. It hides underwater to ambush intruders from a blast of its single cannon. Blastoise. Blastoise's signature cannons trademark the iconic design. But could you imagine if Blastoise never had its cannons? One of the earliest pieces of Pokemon concept art shown Blastoise catching hands with Staryu. The most notable difference is it's a round boy. Oh, and the removal of its familiar water cannons. The Blastoise we have today is a sizable bipedal turtle. It has a blue body that is largely concealed by a hard, brown shell. This shell's underside is cream-colored, and its arms and upper and lower halves are separated by a white ridge. Over its shoulders, at the top of its shell, are 2 strong water cannons. These cannons can be drawn back or extended. Small brown eyes, triangular ears, and a lower jaw with a cream color make up Blastoise's head. It has 3 claws on each hand and thick arms. 3 claws are on the foot, 3 claws are on the front, and 1 is on the back of its feet. A short tail protrudes from the bottom of its shell. All these characteristics, yet Blastoise is still classified as the shellfish Pokemon. If we look inside mussels and other shellfish, they have operating tubes, therefore concluding this species category. I emphasize the shellfish element in my redesign by turning its cannons into sharp shells, capable of blasting water and causing physical damage. These shell protrusions are inspired by the Stupendimes geographicus, one of the largest turtles to have ever existed. This enormous turtle was 4 meters long and weighed over a ton. Stupendimes was speculated to have been analogous to a snapping turtle, due to its skull and carnivorous diet. However, recent analysis suggests that it had a diverse diet, effortlessly crushing hard-shelled prey like mollusks, snakes, and crocodiles. Eating expansive groups of food would have enabled it to grow to enormous sizes. Despite its massive size, another negotiable trait of Stupendimes were the broad horns that pointed out from its shell. The grooves of the horns were covered in a keratinous sheath, dispensing durability and increased strength. Stupendimes would use its shell protrusions to protect its neck and joust with other males for the right to mate. An amazing thing about Blastoise is that it has powerful cannons on its back that can launch water blasts, strong enough to pierce steel and concrete, but yet never uses its cannons in the games? Oh well, at least they're good for flying. Blastoise is constantly in bulking season, consciously making itself heavy in order to withstand the harsh recoil of these potent blasts. Blastoise can act as a leader in large Squirtle and Wartortle groups, as the anime has demonstrated. Ponds and lakes with fresh water appear to be their preferred habitat. The pose can be interpreted as two separate ways. Either it's challenging you to a battle, or it's a bro giving you a fist bump. Blastoise will always defend weak Pokémon and its trainer. Blastoise will use its shell cannons for jabbing foes and blasting pressurized water, using its hefty weight to control the recoil. I gave Blastoise the fighting type to collaborate with its signature attack, Skull Bash. I've changed it into a fighting type move because, honestly, that's just badass. Skull Bash loses the crippling effect of charging for one turn and instead does less damage, while lowering the target's defense stat by one stage, identical to Crush Claw. Shell Cannon is a new water type move I made up that unleashes a torrent of dynamic fire onto the target twice, or attacks two separate targets on the field once, like Dragapult's Dragon Darts. Anyways, this brings us to the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about Squirtle and baby turtles and all the rest we talked about. So be good, trainers, and I'll catch you next time.